Hey guys, my name is William Bush, also known as Reploid Bill or Old Bill Logan. I read around 20 plus comics a week. In fact, this is my current backlog. So, needless to say, I find myself with an awful lot of comic book moments I would like to share. But that brings me to a problem since posting each one of these moments one by one seems awful spam happy on the network. So I got to thinking, why not just post once a week in a giant comic book talky format? And so that's this. This is Comic Book Moments. So here we are back with the next edition of Comic Book Moments, and sorry guys, it was just crazy. That's about the only thing I can give you here, is that it has been utterly crazy for me in this last week trying to get some things taken care of. My wife is in a live play for the Mary Poppins thing, and there's been a lot of dance routines and craziness and whatnot, figuring out first shift, which has helped me with a lot of things, but I am still getting my schedules together, so I only read two major books that I care to talk about anyway, and this was the newest read Sonja. In terms of when I was reading this, the new one came out, and Go-Go Power Rangers number 10. So let's start on Go-Go Power Rangers number 10. First off, in the comic book moments, I actually enjoyed this little thing right here, where in the book, right here, they actually get talking about Bulk and what he was, what he really was. Not what people seen him as, but what he really was. He was a history buff, and he was not a complete idiot. That's important. I like the fact that this Kyle Higgins has went through the trouble of giving personality to these characters that were nothing more than stand-ins. And even the main characters were just stand-ins. Look, we've talked about this in the Sentai Review. For anybody that doesn't know the Sentai Review, go check it out. Where we talked about the fact that some of these characters are cliches and they were never meant to be anything more than cliches. But if you're willing to look, if you're willing to really look into the background and see some of the things they wear, the things they read, the things they do, you can catch these little character moments that gave them deeper understanding than what we were originally meant to get out of the Saved by the Bell-esque material. And this is definitely one of those moments. I enjoyed this immensely. So for a long time now, people that watch the Sentai Review have caught us talking about Zordon and how questionable this quote-unquote sage really is. Oftentimes, he's just talking. He's full of it, okay? If you go check out the Sentai Review, parental guidance warning right here, just so you know, it's a pretty crazy show where we take this show and we address it to adult scrutiny that it was never meant to be able to hold up to, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes we discover some things that are very questionable about Power Rangers and the way this story probably really is. But anyways, we make a lot of jokes about Zordon, and it's nice to see that in this book it is being addressed that he is a sage, there is wisdom, he is a leader, and there is purpose to some of the things he's doing. It's very Star Trek-like, where he has the ability to do certain things that he will stop himself from doing because he knows what the repercussion of certain things are, such as offering his technology to humankind. That's not something that's going to turn out good for us or him in the long run, and he knows it. So he has this very extreme conversation with Jason where he basically has to tell this kid, I'm sorry, if your dad is going to die, your dad is going to die. There are certain things I am unable to do. There are certain things I am unwilling to do. And I'm sorry if this runs a wedge between us, but this is something I am unwilling to do. And yes, there is a reason. So now we come to the throwdown of the book, the main thing. Power Rangers always has the throwdown, and this was an awesome Megazord fight. And let me tell you something, if you ever thought, this is something called the Gravezord, okay? And what it is a collaborative mess of destroyed Zords that happened during the war. Now, during the war, we got to see the we got to see the aftermath of it when the Rangers crossed into the other dimension. This part we didn't know about. Those Zords were taken, cobbled together, that created the Grave Zord, and the evil Kim is powering it now with Rita Repulsa's help. This thing is amazing. It is incredibly dangerous, and they stand absolutely no chance whatsoever against it. This thing is built from the remains of the Thunder Megazord. And if you remember right, the Thunder Megazord things, the Zords themselves, were created from the remains of the original Dinozords and were far superior to the Dinozords. In our continuity, in the American show, the Thunder Zords are superior in every single way. I've questioned this on the Sentai Review. Once again, you can go check that out. You can see the Green with Evil talks and things like that, and then the series discussions where I have argued that there are times that we've seen that the original Zords were easily superior to the Thunder, in terms of some of them, like the White Tiger versus the Dragon Zord. We talked about it, yada yada. We're getting off that subject. But these guys are outmatched. This is the warrior moment. This is when you stand up. It is going to take something extreme. And during this confrontation, a command decision is made. I absolutely love this part. It is a command decision. Not often do we get to see Jason actually take command. Very often in the series, it was cookie cutter and the decisions were just made because the decisions had to be made. It wasn't about leadership or anything like that. It was a formula that the show had to follow. Every now and then they allowed Jason to make decisions and prove that he was an actual leader. But here, in the work with the comic books, there is a command decision that takes place. Right now, they're being fooled with, and Jason figures it out. At this point, they could have been destroyed at any moment. They're not. Why? That means that whatever's happening here, and this is with help from Kimberly while they're discussing, whatever's happening here is a distraction. He knows that for sure. And she was debating that, and he finally makes the call. He says, Kim, go. Because they lost communication with Zordon during this battle. And he's like, I don't know what's happening, but I could tell you this for certain. For certain, I can tell you this. Go. Because the fact that we are not dead means that this thing doesn't want us dead. Because it could have killed us 100 times by now, and it hasn't. There's got to be a reason for that. We're being kept here. And she's like, what if you need the Megazord? And he's like, it hasn't killed us yet. Go. For I have a feeling it's not going to kill us. It's keeping us here for something. And sure enough, he happens to be right, because when she goes off, she finds herself at quite the situation. When Kim gets to the command center, she finds herself confronted by the evil Kimberly, this other Kimberly that came back from supposedly the future of whichever timeline because of this shattered grid thing that's happening, and it is crazy. I'm looking forward to this next book like crazy. She finds the evil Kim tearing up Alpha and basically enjoying every moment of it. She's looking for something. She's trying to get some information. She's evil. She's not quite Kimberly anymore. When Kim shows up and she's straight up like, take your hands off my robot. And this is going to lead to a confrontation, good Kim versus evil Kim, in the very next book, of which I already have, and I'm already looking forward to watching. This is going to be cool. I can't wait for these two to throw down. And quite frankly, this is also another one of those things that shows us that careful who you ally with. Even the best of us have this evil in us, have this streak where we can become these terrible people. Everybody is capable of awfulness. It's sad, but it's true. And we need to be careful about the things that we do and the choices that we make, because the awfulness could literally be right under the surface and you don't know exactly what's going to bring it up. So you always need to be aware. You always need to take care, because when she has information that Zordon and the others gave to her over the years, as she was trusted with this information, where she is tearing the Rangers up. They stand almost no chance whatsoever. And I'm looking forward to this fight because I want to see good triumph over evil. Now, this is one of those moments where, yes, this is what the comic book is doing so well over other Power Rangers material, is that this is good versus evil, but this is taken seriously in a way that somehow seems to maintain the good versus evil, there's always hope, and the Power Rangers idea in general, with somehow still kind of playing Save to the Bell and still kind of playing giant Transformers and superheroes, but nowhere near the amount of cheesy or Deus Ex Machina that was going on in the series. And that is why I really, truly, honestly love this book and cannot wait for more of it. Kyle, you are an absolute godsend to the Rangers, and I hope and pray that they come talk to you when they decide to do the next series, because now that it's under new management, under new control, if you could get in here and help to fix some of this Power Rangers, I put my support 100% behind you, Kyle. Kyle Higgins all the way, I'm telling you, put it out there, petition for it, ask him, try to ask the companies, whoever is in charge of the next Power Rangers stuff needs Kyle Higgins on board as a writer, as a consultant, for the next series, because I honestly believe that this guy knows what he's doing. He has a love and passion for the original storylines while also understanding what it's going to take to fix them. All the way, 100% support. Let's go on to Red Sonja. So Red Sonja is a pretty easy one today. We're not going to spend way too much time on it, only kind of get you an idea of what's been going on so that when I talk about the next book, we're still kind of caught up. When Red Sonja was returned to her homeland in the Hyborian Age, she found out that she had been missing for years, and some of her reputation had basically been forgotten. She's no longer as feared as she was, and some of these people don't even know who or what she was. She goes off and she spars with an old friend. Now, this old friend is Aiden the Cursed, and basically he's from a group of warriors which are kind of like the Saiyans. They believe that death in battle 'tis the greatest honor that one could achieve in his life, the Spartan philosophy. And while he's battling with her, because this is kind of something that he does, is he lives for battle now, because why not? They can't kill him. Any damage that he receives, no matter how extreme, even death, even if a nuclear bomb was dropped on top of his head, he would just wake up tomorrow. Don't know how that works, but magic is a crazy thing. So anyways, while he's fighting her, he's so skilled in terms of battle. He knows it so well. He's so on top of it, and he sees fundamentals in warriors that they don't see themselves. Sonja is a brawler. She's incredibly skilled, but she is, without a doubt, a brawler. She is what you refer to as a berserker. And while she's fighting, he stops her and tells her, hey, something's wrong with your sword. I don't think it's balanced properly. And she just been going on and doing all these battles, and she never even once stopped to consider it because the sword worked fine for her. And that's another thing about Sonja. Sonja is well trained in all weapons. If there's an axe laying on the ground, she will use it. If there's a bow laying on the ground, she will use it. If there's a sword, she will use it. In fact, that's how she got this sword. She found it. It's nothing special. It wasn't made for her necessarily that she understood. It was just a sword. She found it. She needed it. She used it. She takes it to this blacksmith who was told, Aiden is the guy that told her, hey, you should take that. And so she takes it over there to him, the recommended blacksmith. And while she's there, she tells of how she got it. And then he says, you want me to tell you how you got it? And she's like, well, I'm interested in that. He says, well, if you check out these markings, this actually belonged to somebody else. This belonged to a guy named Skaith. And she's like, who's that? And it's actually led in to another one of those great Sonja moments that I absolutely love, where I told you I just love the way her character is. She's basically like, well, look, I don't see any tavern here, so If you're gonna babble, go ahead, babble away. I will enjoy a tale since there's nothing to drink around here. And so she kicks back to listen to this legend of a guy named Skaith, and he tells her that Skaith was one of the greatest warriors that the world had ever seen, but due to a disagreement, a misunderstanding of sorts, this sword was lost to Skaith. Now, what was going on basically is Skaith had some friends over, some guys from a different kingdom or whatever. They'd come over to see his collection, his hunting collection, and learn of the great tales of this unbeatable warrior Skaith, this big legend, and here I am, and yada yada. Look at me flex, ba-boom, ba-boom. Now, they get to talking to him, and while he's showing off his trophies, they happen to find this thing on his wall, a type of leopard, and that makes them very, very mad. That's a sacred animal to them, and they challenge him to a fight, a duel. And this is not going to be just a duel between him and them. This is going to be like warring factions type of thing. All his followers are to die for this act. They will seek justice. And he's like, I don't want to do this to you. I've never been beat. This sword has been blessed by priests and gods of the greatest gods. And I'm telling you, I'll walk right through you. Nobody can beat me. That's the way this is. I'm unkillable. Please don't make me kill you. Well, there's no satisfaction without battle, so battle happened to ensue. And during this fight, these guys brought a dragon with them. Now, Skaith is the kind of warrior who is not put off by the fact that this is a dragon, and while most of his people ran at the sight of such a beast, he stepped right into it and fought it. He delivers a killing blow to its heart, and then something happens that he was not prepared for. See, in this idea, in the Red Sonja mythologies here, when dragons are about to die, when they realize that they've been beat or they just know they're going to die, they don't like to stick around and die in a place. They will often look for a form of solitude. And as soon as it was hit, it knew it was dead. It bucked him away. And when he fell on the ground, it didn't try to seek revenge or fight him or bite him or anything. It just kind of flew into the sky. But to his dismay, it flew off with his sword still in his heart. And the dragon never came back. So, because the dragon came back and he scoured the land and he's never been able to find that dragon and find his sword that he lost, it is simply gone forever as far as he was concerned and as far as anybody else in this land was concerned. And here Sonja shows up years later and she's been using that sword. And sure enough, she's like, well, you know, quite honestly, I'm a mercenary. I'm not about relics and collecting and having possessions and things like that, but I am into having some money, so I tell you what I'm going to do. Is this dude still interested in finding his sword? And if so, is he offering that reward? And the guy was like, look, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody would want that sword. Most of all, him. He is still alive. From what I understand, he's still very powerful, and he would definitely want it back. And she's like, then it's his. And she sets off to go find him. And from what I understand by reading the back of the book, when she finds him, it's not going to... because Sonja is Sonja, of course, this is going to lead to some sort of problem. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. And that was all that I have to talk about with Red Sonja. So that was it for Comic Book Moments today, for this week. And I will try to read more and get more things in here and be a little more random and fun and things of that nature. But for what it's worth, man, every month when I come out with a Red Sonja comic, I'm probably going to be recapping it, because that was another reason I wanted to do this show, is that to what I've noticed, nobody ever seems to talk about her. People really like Conan the Barbarian, and I see some other offhand comic book things and whatnot. But for what it's worth, aside from a video here, a video there, nobody's ever talking about her. So I wanted to do a show where I would have the opportunity to talk about different comic books, from superheroes to stuff like this that I truly enjoy. So that was all. This episode is done. I'm going to catch you later. What's up, guys? For these and any other X-Men moments like them, be sure to check out Keeping Up with the X-Men on my other channel, where I talk about X-Men and try desperately to keep up with one of the coolest comic franchises ever created. Later on.